Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MFFL Nation podcast. I'm your host, Mason, aka MFFL Nation. Today, I'm here with a close friend, Amir. Amir, how's it going, man?
It's going good. Today was a Mavs basketball day, so it was a good day. How are
It
you?
was. I'm good, man. I'm really excited. The Mavs are back on TV. Got to watch the Mavs. It's funny. I was speaking to a friend a few days ago, and was like, man, I miss Mavs basketball so much. And then you're like, we only had to wait like 2-3 months to really
Yeah,
watch the Mavs again. It's funny, but really excited that Mavs basketball is back. The Dallas Mavericks did end up losing tonight to the Memphis Grizzlies by a score of 121 to 116. It was a fun game to watch for sure. Amir, you were in the AAC tonight at the game. How were the vibes?
I was at the game. The vibes were it was chill. It's preseason. The stakes are a little lower. The stadium's half empty, but the players came to play. Luka, Kyrie, and Klay, despite not playing, and PJ, despite not playing, they're radiating good vibes. Although I will say Klay looked really bored when I saw him there on the bench. It's pretty funny, but. Um, No, it was good vibes from everybody. Even the fans that were there, they got into it a little bit. Mavs made some highlight plays that, made it fun as well. It was a good time.
Oh, that's great to hear. And there was some highlight plays, and that's who I sort of want to start off discussing first is Dereck Lively II. Finished tonight 12 points, 5 for 5 from the field, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And I think the one play that's stood out to me was really he got the ball at about half court, took Brandon Clark to the basket, hit a little in and out cross with the spin move, and then got the and one. And I was electric, and I was sitting on my couch watching the game. I can only imagine what the AAC was like. And Dereck Lively, I mean, man, the year two leap is legit, and I'm really locked in for it. It's going to be really fun to watch. He had those back to back dunks on consecutive plays tonight as well, which I'm sure again made the AAC super electric. So seeing Dereck Lively back in a Mavs uniform tonight was very exciting. The defensive role was there as well, made an impact there. And yeah, man, I can't wait for the regular season to start, but it's great seeing these guys out on the floor.
Yeah, we were just getting a little taste of a lot of these guys. Lively definitely showed out, especially with those highlight plays. But even on a more, on a smaller level, just the fundamentals that he was, showing off, whether he was grabbing rebounds or even, uh, he had a tough matchup against Zach Edey. Honestly, that's a big guy right there. That's a tall dude, 7'4", he's trying to prove himself, that was his first ever game, I guess. Um, and so, uh, battling against him both on defense and trying to, shoot over him on offense, I'd say, he had his work cut out for him, but, he was finding ways to get around him, whether it was with, a hook shot or, just running past him, getting dunks, that kind of thing. Um, so it was good. It was good to see from Lively.
It was, and like you said, that hook shot he hit, I believe it was like a 9 foot hook shot, and that was really impressive. And that's something that he's been working on with Tyson Chandler lately. That's something that he worked on with Sean Sweeney in the offseason. Sweeney went to Duke actually to do a workout with Lively as well. So that's awesome to see. Like I said, I'm very excited for that year two leap. And then secondly, someone who deserves a big shout out tonight. I was really impressed with his shooting performance and performance in general. Jaden Hardy 6 for 10 from three, 21 points, 8 assists. Looked really good tonight. There was a few careless turnovers, but the way he was producing tonight, he let a few go and be happy with the performance that he had. Again, 21 points, 8 assists, close to a double double in the Mavs preseason opener. How did you feel about Jaden Hardy tonight?
I was really impressed with Hardy. He definitely looked like he took a step up. Um, he just looked really comfortable out there. Like obviously this is a lower stakes game, it's just the preseason. People are still getting settled in, but he looked ready to go. He let the game come to him because I know in the past he's had issues with, kind of forcing things, like forcing drives to the basket or, taking contested shots when, they're not there. But here he was just taking what the defense gave him, whether it was, open threes that he was creating for himself or when he was open, he took them. or when he had a lane to the basket, he took that too. And it just looked really smooth, nothing forced. He just looked ready to go, and that's what we need from him this year. Just when he gets called from off the bench, he needs to be ready to go, looking smooth.
Yeah, and I think there was a mini Jaden Hardy tonight in Jay-Z and Gorman. Jay Gort, 19 points, 7 for 13 from the field. I believe he was 4 for 7 from the three-point line. Really stood out to me, man. Creating his own shot at all three levels. Especially the three-point shot was nice tonight. We saw multiple times attacking the basket. But a side note, which I know you want to discuss because you saw it in person as well, um, the defense was pretty impressive. I thought he stood out defensively.
Yeah, for sure. So just, looking at uh right, his main assignment was Scottie Pippen Jr. for most of that game. He would for Memphis was also trying to prove himself, trying to get more minutes next season after playing a pretty small role last year.
He had
And
it.
since
He had
Memphis,
his time. He had his time though with the injuries Memphis dealt with.
that's true.
He did have a
But
good. He did have a good year when players were out.
Y yeah, but now that those guys are back, he's trying to keep that role, right? He's trying
Right.
to keep those minutes, trying to improve. And so he was really scrapping out there, and, Jay Gort, he matched and even exceeded his energy. Whether it was, he was hounding him on defense, picking him up half court, just all over him. He got those 4 steals. He was, in the passing lanes. It was really good to see from him, and he was just able to turn that into a lot of offense. It looked really smooth. He was making plays look very effortless out there. Like, he had that step back on a lock, and he created a ton of space. And even just for like his size, he like felt bigger than like his size because right, he's roughly the same frame as Hardy, but he looked bigger out there just
I think
given
he's a little.
like the way he
He's probably.
played.
Yeah. He's probably a little shorter than Hardy, but yeah, close.
Yeah, and he looked good for, like, given that he's, like, a smaller player. He looked like he belonged. He looked good. So he definitely, is well on his way to, making the roster if he keeps this up.
Yeah, I think when you talk about Jay Gort, obviously, I would assume AJ gets a two-way. Brandon Williams is a two-way. And I believe that last two-way spot's open. Correct me if I'm. Oh no, Kessler Edwards.
I didn't see Brandon Williams. Was he hurt, or is he
Brandon
do you
Williams
know
wasn't playing tonight. Yeah, he had an injury.
Gotcha.
So I mean, Kessler's a two-way. Brandon Williams is a two-way. Um, AJ, I don't know. We'll
And
we'll
that
we'll
I
have to
mean,
we'll have to we'll have to discuss this at the end of preseason. It's just one game,
it
but
also kinda depends on the Exum injury too, right?
yep, a thousand
Because if
percent.
he's out for an extended period, then, we'll need someone else to fill in.
Yep, 1,000%. And someone that we should really, or the two people we should discuss tonight, two new Mavs, Naji Marshall and Quentin Grimes. Naji and Q Dot didn't have the best shooting performances, but definitely had very legitimate sparks. One thing that stood out to me with the two of them is just getting to the rim, attacking the basket. Um, really liked Naji's passing tonight. I think the role him and Quentin played tonight, and I think for everyone, isn't the role that they'll have to play throughout the season. When you have guys like Luka, Kyrie, Klay, and PJ on the court as well, you're not having to do as much work. And so, even Naji hitting that three at the top of the key, Quentin getting those fast break dunks, fast break layups, is something that stood out to me. And that's something that's going to be very beneficial come season time, regular season time. So I'm very excited that those two guys are Mavericks. Those are two guys that are going to have pretty heavy defensive tasks throughout the regular season and the playoffs. How do you feel about their Maverick debuts?
Well, I felt pretty good overall. I do think they're still, settling into things. I'd say, although you said that, they weren't playing the role they're going to be playing, that's definitely true. But I think that Grimes was playing more closely to the way he's going to play later on. Uh, because, he's obviously going to be more of a ball handler. He's going to be need to create his own shot at times. And it's things that we've seen him do both in New York and Detroit.
Yep.
And I was saying a lot of that stuff here tonight, even though it wasn't, the most polished, the most, not the shots weren't all falling, but you could see that stuff. It was all definitely there. And once he gets more settled in, he'll look good. And same with Naji, honestly. We saw a lot of just like kind of ISO and stuff out of him, which honestly is not going to be his main role when season comes around, like you said. Um, and yeah, I think there was a top of the key three that he hit. Right, he's gonna be shooting just threes all over. Honestly, he'll be shooting threes. He'll be getting like driving kicks where he'll drive off of that. And obviously defensively will be like his main task. Guarding like the best player on the court. And all that it looked like it's gonna be there. It looks pretty good. And I'm definitely excited to see it. Keep seeing them play. Keep seeing them progress.
I want to say something. Mavs fans,
Mm.
we went from having to think about Dwight Powell starting, last season when preseason was entering, we thought that Olivier Maxence Prosper would be starting. And now we're fortunate to have Dereck Lively and Daniel Gafford as your center rotation. And now you have PJ Washington, Naji Marshall on that small forward, power forward rotation. And that's no diss to Dwight or Omax. It's crazy what Nico Harrison has done. Um, but
Yeah,
to get back,
100%.
to get back to where we were at, Daniel Gafford tonight didn't play too much, only had 2 points, but the two shots that really stood out to me was the hook he hit over Edie, and near the left wing, I believe, or left elbow, excuse me. He opened up and tried to shoot that mid range, something that I saw on a Mavs training camp clip on their X account, where he opened up and sort of did the same thing on Live Lane training camp and synced it. We saw him do that tonight. Unfortunately, he didn't make it, but it was a good miss. And that's something I think that we should look out for. I think that's a minor emphasis that the Mavs have had this year, is being able to spread the floor out a little more. I know Mavs fans are ecstatic about the fact that we could see Dereck Lively shoot more threes this year. So that could be pretty cool to see. And then the same thing with Daniel Gafford. If he can shoot the mid range occasionally, that's something that's just nice for the Mavs. And I know for sure that Daniel Gafford is not afraid to shoot the ball. So that's something that stood out from me for Gaff tonight. Not too much action from him, but I'm sure as preseason moves forward, we'll see him more on the court.
Yeah, I mean, Gaff looked good in the minutes that he played. He's a pretty consistent guy, I'd say overall in terms of the way he plays. Saw the same things from him, and kind of like you kind of touched on it with the jumper that he took. I think honestly a lot of the guys, from what we saw, just they were definitely working on stuff in the off season, and we saw some of the things that they were working on tonight. And I think we're gonna keep seeing more and more of the stuff they worked on, and because it's definitely looking pretty good. Um, it doesn't look too forced. They don't look, scared to shoot, kind of like in the Gafford example or the Lively example. Just doing things that they're implementing new things into their game, and it looks good. It doesn't look too forced. It doesn't look, um, like they're trying anything crazy. It's just stuff that they know they've worked on. We saw it in the training camp clips, right? And we're seeing it put in game. I think we'll definitely see in this regular season too.
Yeah. And then, next up, Spencer Dinwiddie, sort of an off night for him. Not too worried about it. First game back in the AAC for him. And like I said, it's the first game of the season. All players get the jitters. It's still a little rusty playing in an arena in front of a crowd sometimes. So I'm not too worried about his performance tonight. Um, would I say it was a positive performance? No, but I believe in Smoothie King. And I think that honestly, with Dante being out for an extended amount of time, probably, we don't know yet. We don't know. I believe the Stein line reported, Mark Stein, saying that they really haven't found a pathway for his wrist yet to see what the recovering time is, if surgery is needed or not. So we're still waiting on that, I believe. Don't quote me on it. But with that being said, that backup point guard spot is open. It is wide open. And you look at Jaden Hardy, who did a good job of facilitating tonight, and you look at Spencer Dinwiddie, those are the two guys that are going to be battling for that spot. And that's a big spot to fill. And you look at it, someone like Luka, when the Mavs don't have Luka on the floor, it's a whole different change of pace. Kyrie brings that pace, faster pace than Luka does, and Hardy and Dinwiddie can both play at that pace. So it's really, I believe it's going to be who performs better in the preseason, who gets those legit minutes come the regular season opener at home against the San Antonio Spurs. Personally, I believe as it's shaping up right now, um, I could see it to where, you have Jaden as the backup one. You have, or, it could be because my thing is I believe that the Mavs should do it to where Naji is PJ's backup, not Klay's backup, and where Naji's playing the four more. And with that being said, if you do that, you could do with the Mavs how they look right now. You could put Jaden as the backup 2, Spencer as the backup 1, Quentin as the backup 3, Naji as the 4, and Gafford Lively swap at the 5. So that's something that shouldn't really be discussed yet just because it's too early in the preseason. I typically just like to foreshadow stuff sometimes. So, I don't want to harp on it too much. No pun intended, Derek Harper. But nothing to be discussed too much right now. And then, you look at Omax tonight. There were some sparks. I wouldn't say he had a perfect game. There was a few times he attacked the basket. He looked really good. He was game high in plus minus with a plus 10, played the second most amount of minutes tonight. So how do you feel about Omax's performance?
Yeah, like you said, some good, some not as good. He's still raw, honestly. He's still working. He's definitely getting better. He's getting more confidence. His handle is improving. His moves are more smooth, that kind of thing. But he's still not, I don't think he's at a rotation level quite yet. He still needs more work. And I think the sky's the limit for him too. Just, he needs to keep putting that work in. He's definitely making improvements, just it's gonna take some time. And yeah, he's still on that path right now. He played pretty well, especially given he played a good amount of time. He played second most minutes, I believe, over 30. Um, and I saw good stuff from him, especially inside that I liked. Because usually we see him operate more on the perimeter, actually,
Yep.
despite the fact that he's a bigger guy. And so I feel like he needs to be using that size more often. And we saw a little bit more of that today. He also got to the line a good amount of times, which was also good.
Yeah, I think when you talk about Omax, that's someone who worked very hard in the summer, trained very hard, and it's something honestly I don't think people discuss this a lot. It's something that we saw with Jaden Hardy, and when I say that, I mean pace. Something that we've seen Jaden Hardy develop in the last 2.5 years is his control of pace. And you look at Omax, year one, the guy was just, I mean, he was everywhere on the floor. He was running everywhere, sprinting everywhere. And that's sort of where tonight, would I say he was perfect in it? No, but I saw improvement. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you don't need to attack the basket at 100% speed. And that's something that just, it comes with time. He's a young guy. Especially, I think it's convenient that he plays with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, two of probably some of the best basketball players in history of basketball that know how to control their pace. So that's something he can learn off of. But I think that's something that's going to be key for him moving along in his career is just knowing how to control his pace, knowing when to attack the basket, knowing when to kick it out, knowing when to shoot the three and not put the ball on the floor. So I'm looking forward to the Omax leap. I hope he gets some minutes here and there. That's someone also where you have an injury prone player like Maxi Kleber as of lately. Didn't play tonight as well. Had some injuries throughout the season where, say, if the Mavs do want to have lineups where Naji's at the 3 and PJ's on the bench and Maxi's hurt, it's Omax time. So there's times where Omax could begin those 6 to 10 minute spurts. So he's really going to have to be prepared. This is not something like last year where I do think he'll spend some time in the G League when the Mavs are healthy, just continuing to develop his game, get reps. But Omax needs to be ready for the season because I do think there's going to be times where the Mavs will need him. Amir, looking at the guys who were out tonight, Luka obviously dealt with a injury right before training camp. He gave it a go. Day one of training camp just didn't feel right, so he sat out training camp. And then Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson, two guys who didn't play in the Mavericks fan jam this past weekend, also didn't play tonight. But good news for Mavs fans. Jason Kidd reported that Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson will most likely play in the final three preseason games. He also stated that there's no concern with PJ Washington's hip injury. So that's something to be really looking forward to. I know Mavs fans are really anticipating the Klay Thompson debut.
Yeah, 100%. Just being at the AAC, you could tell that the fans really wanted to see Clay. Obviously, because he was dressed, people thought maybe there was a chance he'd get out there, even though he was ruled out. Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like bringing in Clay, it's a different kind of move for the Mavs. Obviously, it brings something different to the team, and I think the fan base is really excited about it. Obviously. Um, And yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing what Jason Kidd decides to do because I did read recently that he was planning on having Luka not take up the ball anymore this season, at least to start the year to try it out.
Well, I don't think like every single possession. I think
No, so let me elaborate. So he basically said how he instead of having Luka like just take the ball down, it'd be more so like he'd basically come off the ball and then get it and then initiate the offense like in a half court set instead
yeah,
of being the guy to like take it all the way and like go straight into it, right?
correct. There will be times where he's running the offense through the mid post as well.
Yeah. And so I think that'll bring something really interesting to the table. I think it'll also help Luka given that uh, just make him not use up his stamina as much. Just have him be more efficient with his movement on the court. Because he can obviously do a ton of stuff and he can push himself really, really far. But we don't want him to be doing that, given that we have so many other options and we need him healthy and at close to 100% for the season, for the playoffs. And I also think it'll just uh, create some uh, different sets for our offense. Just I think him playing in the post will be interesting. Just his passing ability. He's going to get a lot of guys open. I'm sure Clay's going to get a ton of open looks. Kyrie's going to get a ton of open looks. Naji's going to get open looks. PJ's going to get open looks. It'll be really good. I think it's a good
Yeah,
idea.
I think it's a great idea. And you look at the playoffs last year. Um, Luka wasn't 100% healthy. Game one in the NBA Finals, he was wrapped like a mummy. And
Yeah.
the Clipper series, he was struggling. Not game performance wise, but just physically. He was hurt. There was question of if he was going to play in that series throughout the whole time. OKC, I think he started to feel better in the middle of the series. I think he got banged up again, just because of how physical Lou Dort was playing. And then, just throughout that whole playoff run, he wasn't 100%. And now when you have this team that, I mean, I've said it before, this is the most stacked team in Dallas Mavericks franchise history. It's it's not even close. You
On
can look at
paper, yeah,
20 you can you
100%.
can
Yeah.
look at you can look at 2011, you can look at 2006, you can look in the 80s. Um, there's just I don't think there's anything like this, especially top tier talent. I Not even top tier. We're just stacked everywhere, man. And having that one, the convenient thing is like I think for the first time in Luka Doncic's career, it's like okay, if Luka misses a game, don't rule the Mavs out for losing. I think we sort of had that feeling last year, post deadline, but now it's like a definitive, man. I mean, with the roster that we have, the depth that we have, and we'll discuss this eventually at some point during another episode. But it's like man, there's so many guys on this team that you can trust.
And Yeah, for sure. And I think that's also something that I want to see in the next couple preseason games is since Luka is most likely going to be out for most of preseason, uh, just how we play without him, because I think that is something that is important. And especially if Kid decides to move away from the Luka ISO or heliocentric where he has the ball like a lot of the time. I'm not saying he's gonna move out away from it completely. It's just so effective, right? But trying different things when he's not always, the go-to guy all the
Right.
time, 100% of the time. And we need that, especially when he's out or if he's banged up or, not playing 100% or, he's getting hounded on defense, whatever it is. Um, we need to create other options. We need consistent, reliable things that we need to work on throughout the season. And I think that preseason is a really good opportunity to just get into that, to try things out. It's a low stakes environment. Get everyone to try some new things and just see what works. And I think there'll be some good results. Honestly, I think we'll see a lot of good stuff.
I agree. I'm very excited to watch this team fully healthy and play soon. The Mavs play on Thursday, the 10th, against the Utah Jazz at home. Um, Probably we'll see Kyrie and Klay. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten any word on Luka. Don't want to say anything yet. My guess probably won't play. I hope he plays on the 14th though, because we go to play at the Clippers arena, and I want him to cook Derek Jones Jr. I
Yeah.
love DJJ, but I know there's gonna be some trash talking if that's a matchup for sure, and I'm sure our bench will be talking to him. I sure, and not in a bad way. I'm sure there will be hugs, smiles, everything. So that'll be cool to see. But looking forward to this Mavs Jazz game. Um, Hopefully we get Klay. Hopefully Kyrie, PJ. I don't expect Maxi to play. Some of the other guys as well, but looking forward to it, man. As always, Amir, I appreciate you coming on the pod as a special guest today. I'm sure MFFLs will see you in the near future on here again. So again, shout out to you for coming on here. I know we're recording this a bit late, but want to have this for the fans this upcoming morning.
Hey, you got to put in the sacrifices, right? This is season starting up for us too. Gotta put in the work.
You
It's
got
been a
to.
pleasure being on the pod. I'll definitely try to come on more this season for sure. Uh, appreciate you.
Of course, MFFL Nation, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Be sure to follow us on all socials at Nation MFFL on X and Instagram. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 3. Stay tuned for more content. Stay tuned for more content on YouTube, X, Instagram, all of it. Thank you guys again, and have a great day, and go Mavs.
Go Mavs.